Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you all here. We're doing a little bit of a little afternoon stream, I guess. I've had people working on my roof in my bathroom, so stuff has been noisy and a little bit hectic. But yeah, have some time to get some streaming in. Hey, Rohit, how's it going? But yeah, as you can see here, I've started to go into posing my character and kind of fixing a bunch of stuff after I've, tweaked it in Transpose and had to go back through and make those changes. It gets a little destructive to some of your forms. So that's what I've been working on. You can notice some kind of weird stuff in here, live Boolean subtractions doing most of that. But I've started posing my character. The thing that I've been working on first is kind of the major form of the body. So kind of working from the bottom up right now, posing the legs. Now I'm about to go into transpose mode and kind of shift the weight of the body a little bit. Arch the back, maybe twist it a little bit more, tilt it to the side. I'm going to play around with it and see what I can do. But yeah, got to break stuff before we can fix it and get it to a better place. But this is the direction we're going in, so here we go. Haircut, yes, of course. Got to cut them hairs off eventually. And Craig with a Bugs Bunny reference, which I grew up watching with my dad all the time when I was a kid. We used to watch Bugs Bunny and Marvin the Martian, all those. All that good stuff. Roadrunner, Wile-E. But yeah, so the next step for me is to kind of go into that transpose like I was saying. And we are going to do that. Just want to make sure that I have everything set up here and I'm not forgetting anything. You can notice a lot of stuff that's still broken after I've started making these changes, and a lot of stuff that's going to have to be fixed. But that's alright, it's all in good time here. And alright, go ahead and go into T-pose. And I have this character saved as a neutral pose as well. And, I'll probably add stuff and take away some things even after it's posed. So that neutral isn't like, that's the character finished, now it's time to pose it. It's more like the base groundwork has been done, now it's time to pose it. See what works in pose, see what really starts to break down, and that kind of thing. Here's a... let me fix that border. Got a little screwed up there. Where'd it go? So down here you can see I made a quick little adaptive scan of this posed mesh. This is the basic pose that I'm going for here. I had a few different poses that I shared online, and I was asking people for kind of their feedback and what they were liking. I've started to go in the direction of C here, obviously. I like A and C. I was never a fan of this, but some people were saying that they were, so I wanted to show it in... I did all of these just really quickly. I wanted to show this without all the glamour of the images that I was showing before. And I think it kind of breaks it down really quickly to where this and the other pose really, that A pose, really give off, allow for a really good beauty render or kind of view here of the full character to see what you're working with. So this is kind of the baseline here that we're aiming for with that. You can kind of see some of the stuff that we've started to do, but yes, it's time to move more so in that direction. So we're gonna try to do that. We got a lot of stuff going on, little hectic, a little crazy. So we'll try to be concise with the movements that we make. Let's see. Rohit says D or E. That's from a previous post, and let's look them up. So this is the original post that I made. I have it both in, I have it in black and white somewhere. I don't know where. But D or E is what Rohit is saying. So E here, that's that kind of grounded pose. So something similar to this in B, but once you kind of remove the cape and some other things, this is something that's only really going to work from a singular angle, and it's going to start to look really awkward from more. Whereas something more like, I guess it would be B and C here. D is, you know, it's, I do like A and D. I like all these poses, but, you know, I got to think about what's best for showing off the character for this competition. And B and C, I think, are both really good options for that. So that's why I kind of did them really quick in 3D. I don't have them loaded in right now, but I could show you the rest in 3D if that's something that interests you. I just did them really quick, nothing too crazy. But let's see here. Let's go ahead and keep working towards our pose that we're going for right now. I think this will be a good one. But, you know, you gotta, like I said, you gotta break stuff before you can fix it again. So what I'm aiming to do next is to really get this the hips to kind of, or not the hips, but to bend forward from the hips a little bit more, forward for the character, and then bend back a little bit more of an arch, a little bit more of a curve in this line here. So that's what we're going to try to do without screwing up too much stuff. I'm just going to start. I'm using my mask lasso. That's what I prefer to do for this kind of thing, just to get some quick selections in place and do additional masks from there. So just like that, that's a nice and quick one. And then here, I want to mask that off as well. And let's look at our body, or actually I split my body again as I was resculpting stuff, fixing some stuff. So it's a pretty good marker. I just want to kind of adjust that mask a little bit, soften that transition. And a little bit more on everything else. And like I said, try to rotate forward from that hip point. Definitely getting some lag here. And try to get some tilt. So that kind of bend, that side bend is what we're looking for, kind of around the rib cage area. So the more I can get this to angle that way first, the better off we're going to be. I might need to soften that mask a little bit more though. And by the way, since I'm kind of streaming so late today, I'm probably not going to be able to stream for you know, the normal amount that I would normally. So if I pop out of here a bit early, I apologize, but with all the construction and stuff going on, I'm just happy that I got to jump on here at all. So really trying to get this angle. And I'm using perspective right now, just so I can kind of get an idea of what this is going to look like completely. Orthographic is fine, but some stuff starts to break down when you keep it in orthographic too long. But we are starting to get that angle a little bit better. Let's see here. Craig says C could look the best. I don't know which C you're talking about, since I showed you guys a few different ones. But yeah, honestly, I think they could all look good. You know, ideas are shit, execution's everything. So it just kind of depends. But I'm between the two that I showed you guys there, that I really like A and C there. I really want, like I said, something's going to show off the character really well. I believe in you. Well, thank you. Thank you for believing. I'm going to close that image there. I don't need that opened anymore. But yeah, some more posing stuff. This is the nitty-gritty stuff where you know, it's not necessarily, I don't know, difficult seems like a bad word. It's just kind of time consuming, and not only is it time consuming, it's just, I want to say difficult, but maybe tedious is a little bit of a better word. It is difficult in the sense that you kind of have to train your eye to see some of the more important larger forms that are going on in your figure, everything working as a whole. Posing is something that I've kind of always enjoyed doing. I'm trying to work with poses and try to really, I guess, focus more on expression over, you know, the realism of the pose is very important, like weight and all that, but expressiveness and really trying to like emote your character, which is extremely important when you begin talking about expression and that kind of thing as well. That's all extremely important here, and it's really easy to you know, try to aim for a certain pose, and you know, maybe you get that pose, but it just lacks life. It looks boring. It's not very fun. I mean, this completely depends on the pose, but you don't represent the pose very well. Sure, the parts and pieces are in the right location, but there's a lot more that goes into it than just that, I would say. But like I said, it's always been something, you know, it might be tedious, but it is something that I really do enjoy doing and working towards that. So, kind of step back here, I think maybe 2 or 3. Okay. So let's keep orthographic on just so we can kind of compare here and start to see some of that change occurring. So starting to get a little bit more of that arc. These are maybe a little bit in the way, but you can kind of see what we're going for here. Trying to push that even more. And I might even kind of come in here with a big old move brush and go to town on making some adjustments that way, just like little tweaks to kind of try to get the body to arc a little bit more. Scott says you have to be happy with your own work in the end. I don't know if that's true. The pose is always your choice. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you know, I asked a lot of people. I asked on, gosh, what's it called? ZBrush. I asked on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and just to kind of see, like, very quickly what people were thinking. A lot of the feedback was pretty much what I expected. A lot of people saying that the action-y pose, that last one on that first set that I did, let's see here. This one. That they enjoyed this one, but like I said, it's not really good for, one, showing off the character, these two, and two, it's not very useful if the pose looks like garbage from other views. You know, this is done in 2D, some cheating going on with perspective and everything else, whereas this is a 3D figure, and this is a pose that's, you know, I think it's a nice pose, which is the one that I'm going for right now here. It's a nice pose, and it's something that I definitely believe is achievable. You can see here, actually, my polys on my neck tat / my neck piece are flipped, which is not good. It's out of alignment, which I don't care. I can fix that later, but I'm gonna turn off double on that, and I'll have to come fix that later. I'm not actually positive. I'm gonna flip this now. The reason I don't want to flip it is because I don't want Transpose Master to freak out when I T-pose back. Transpose Master is very finicky, I guess would be the word, with how it handles that kind of stuff. I think most of the issues come from poly count mismatches, so I feel like that one will probably be okay, although I'm not entirely sure. want to avoid adjusting any of these polys up here. Really, I'm just trying to get this angle to change. Got a really dumb S-curve going on there. I don't want that. I want kind of a V almost. It's not that big of a deal, but enough that I want to try to tweak it. If I can exaggerate that even more, in my opinion, that's a good thing. And you can see because I have two meshes layered here, so when I mask, sometimes the masking isn't going to gradate exactly the same when I do something like that. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit different underneath. It's not a big deal. It's super easy for me to come through and fix. I'm actually going to modify this one. I like to make, typically when I'm in Transpose Master and I'm beginning to do this stuff, I like to make really big changes with lots of subtools, and then I'll go back to my mesh and, you know, fix everything from there. And this kind of sucks. Just because it's a little bit faster, but sometimes I gotta come in here and do a little bit of cleanup beforehand. And you know, stuff is poking through, no worries, all that will be cleaned up after the fact. I'm gonna get those at least in the correct general area. So a lot of stuff kind of going into each other, not the end of the world. Kind of just gotta accept it and keep working. You get only one real angle with that last one for sure. Yeah, definitely. One good one, I guess you could say, if I were to go that route. Katie! Hello. Welcome back. Oh man, come on. One thing I hate about the select lasso. Gotta make sure that I'm careful here. Not really getting the amount of initial torque from that body position here that I want. What I've been doing is taking this piece and appending it here. So if you guys don't know, when you're working with Transpose Master, like I'm doing here, you can't simply, you know, come through here and add additional meshes while you're working. Like I said, the poly count is very important. So if I want to, you know, T-pose back, it's going to give me an error and say load a T-pose mesh, like load one up because you're not using one. But what I can do is temporarily add some stuff in here, and as long as this remains the initial mesh, I can being careful, I can almost do, you know, whatever I need to in here. And then as long as I delete everything except for this tool, I'll be solid to T-pose that back from there. So just kind of importing that and getting a look here at some of this stuff. So I really I'm wanting to get a little bit more of that arc there, a little bit more of that direction change. Want to make sure that some of these parts, this isn't accurate to the proportions that I'm using either, so that's something I need to keep in mind as I'm working here. And I'm sure the pose will evolve and change, you know, as stuff gets in the way or collides or what have you. You know, like I said, things proportionally aren't exactly the same, so I've done my best to kind of line those up. Katie's testing some hair card materials at the moment. Sounds like a good time. I think as long as I'm getting work done, that's a good thing in my book. I almost want to try just moving that down a little bit more. And really try forcing this. Here's the basic pose here that we're going for. Again, I'm gonna close that. It's not what I was looking for. I would like to try to get a little bit of twist in here. Just kind of trying to gauge how these shoulders are lining up with my hips to see how much twist I have going on there. It can be a little bit difficult to figure that out. This is definitely the part of the process where you want to take your time, and any mistakes that you make along this route now are really just going to kind of compound on each other and give you a lot more work down the road. So it's kind of a good idea to just kind of think as much as you can, which is really hard for me to do while I'm attempting to talk and, you know, discuss a little bit about what's going through my head. But you know, this is the, I don't know if it's the most important part of the process in my mind, but it's extremely important. Like I said, you know, you can have the greatest character in the world that you just 3D modeled, but, you know, pose and expression are what is going to make or break that character. I've seen tons of really good models in just garbage poses that do the character no justice, and it's just a complete waste. Any tips on doing manga-styled weapons? I don't know. Would you? I can't open it. I can't open it in this subtool because I'll F up my... Well, maybe I won't. Either way, I'm gonna load in a separate one. Also, you guys can see the neutral pose for this character. Would you consider this an anime style weapon or a manga styled weapon? I don't know what that means, but to me that means like exaggerated. that's what manga style weapon means to me. I don't know. I don't really have advice or tips. I don't know exactly what you're looking for. Maybe if you could be a little bit more specific in regards to what, just because there's so many variations of things that you can do and create. Maybe if you're just talking general tips for hard surface modeling, I would say learn the ZModeler brush. That's a good tip. Spend a lot of time practicing and working on it. I'm gonna delete this just because I don't want T-pose to have any problems. The way T-pose and the way Transpose Master works is it works by working with the names of your subtools, and all the subtools in that file are named exactly the same as the one that I have here. This one. So that could cause some major issues for me, and I want to avoid major issues. Starting to mess with this a little bit more. So we got the hips going this way, right? At least from the front, right? That's kind of what we're working with. Maybe hide some of this stuff. We got the general flow of the hips, general flow of the shoulder girdle. Maybe we want to tilt the head the other way, straighten it out. Try to make the pose a little bit more dynamic. So I've kind of worked with this. I really need to fix this body as well. But I wanted to make these additional tweaks before I did that. You can see here that we're really starting to really exaggerate and twist some stuff here and really break some stuff, you know, like I said, which is necessary as we go here. Let me look at tilting this head a little bit the other direction. Trying to break stuff a little bit less here, although it's proving a little difficult. Attack on Titan Season 3 will release in summer. I have not watched Season 2 yet, actually. I've just, I mean, gosh, 3 years ago the manga was past Season 2, so I'm caught up, you know, past Season 2 already, but at least from what I know about the show, it's not to where it was in the manga 3 years ago, so I'll probably watch it eventually, though. The first season was really good. I haven't heard much about the second season though, but I'll definitely have to check it out. How to get good curves in the blade. So you're talking about the manga or manga Gasuki. You're talking about that manga weapon. I don't know what weapon is in Japanese off the top of my head. Here you go. So good curves in the blade. So like this is, you know, just my basic blade shape here, and obviously you can make a billion different variations on this. But if I just hit the poly frame on this, Shift F, you can see that it's a low poly piece. Has very few polys in it, you know, 100 polys roughly. And then I've creased a few of these edges, you know, just using the Z Modeler tool. That's what I made this with. Z Modeler plus some tweaking to some different things using, you know, your Transpose or your Gizmo move tool, whatever you use, even my move brush here. I spent a long time on this blade, a lot longer than I should have. But it was required to get it to the point where it's at right now. And I've shown that off to you guys before, so I don't want to return all that back on, at least right at this moment. But we can look at that here in a little bit after I've kind of redone a good amount of this stuff, as my neck is getting a little effed up. Let's bounce out of here. Wait, before I do. Okay, we're good. Oop, gotta delete this. I'm gonna turn off transparency. And we shouldn't have any problems. I'm gonna quick save just to make sure that I have this still. And now, through the magic of Transpose Master, it'll go back through all my subtools and make those changes. Hello to all the new people popping in as this kind of thinks and calculates for a minute, and my Contigo leaks all over me. How's everybody doing? I know we're streaming a little bit later in the day today, so there might be some new faces, but glad to have you with us. Hope you guys are having a good day. Whatever you yourself might be working on, or if you're just popping in and we're curious to see what I was doing. I find that most people that come in here at least have an inkling of 3D modeling knowledge, but you never know. My Contigo has seen better days. And now it's somewhat recently it started to leak on me. Here, let me show this. I don't know if you guys can see out of the thumb down at the bottom. Yeah, it's a little worse for wear, but it started to leak on me recently, and I literally take this thing with me everywhere I go. It's always in my car if I go somewhere. You know, I gotta stay hydrated. Gotta keep nice and good. This is taking forever to transpose. Hopefully it's not confused about the the stuff that I was doing with the extra subtool. We'll give it a few minutes here because I don't want to lose a bunch of stuff. But yeah, if you guys have any cues or anything like that, throw them up in the chat. Another thing that I really want to look at here, I've been kind of reworking this knee. Knees are not easy when you're starting to bend some stuff around and get some different poses. I had some images here. Probably not safe for me to pop up on YouTube just because I don't want to get blammed, but knee bent side view. That's fun. That dude's super flexible. I want something bent really hard. Let's do this. Knee illustration. Typically, or not illustration. How about this? Bent knee drawings. You typically get like a lot of artists that are practicing drawing the knee in different poses. I don't know why I can't find any off the quick Google search. Not too many. Maybe this one will do it a little bit of justice here, so you can kind of see the boxiness of the knee that's popping up there. It's really, this is a crappy quality image, but not too many. Knee drawing practice. Very good. Beautiful knees. I have no idea what that is. Yeah, I don't want to take the time to really look too much of those up, but ooh, we got some extracting of subtools going on, so that's happening. You can see it go through each one there. That's what we're looking for. But yeah, there's this nice boxiness that comes to the knee when it's bent in this pretty extreme pose, and that's what I'm trying to capture. I would pull up, like I said, some other images here, but they're a little NSFW, and YouTube can be a little strict about some of that stuff, so we won't do that. So I have solo mode turned on right now. Normally you'd be able to see all these changes happening on the figure at once, and it's actually pretty interesting to watch when I have that off, but I kept solo mode on while I was working. But now we can kind of see what some of these tweaks and changes are starting to do. So we get a little bit better form in there. You can see that our neck is nice and broken now. So definitely a lot of fixing that's going to need to happen there. A lot of stuff that's broken. But that's fine. Like I said, that's the point of all this, to get it to a place where we can begin making more changes. Let me turn on live boolean. I know I got some weird stuff in here, just so you can kind of see. I decided to recombine some stuff down here in the foot, trying to make it a little bit, and you can see here, that's garbage, that shape right there. We definitely want to fix that. But I used some live boolean stuff to create some subtractions down here, and that creates a really clean cut through there. That's just a little rectangle that I threw in there, and stuff like this needs to be, corrected really quick. But just to kind of adjust that shape. But little things like that, it's a really clean cut, and it does go all the way through. But what I plan to do is, after making that boolean subtraction later on, kind of doing a little bit of tapering in on the surfaces to create essentially a beveled edge. Well, not a beveled edge, I would say. A little bit of a really clean cut in the surface. So you have your two surfaces, or your surface here, and I've kind of split them apart, and then from there it's gonna just kind of V in and be extremely clean. So that's what I've kind of preemptively done there with that work. Plus, live boolean is great for making changes later on. You don't really have to mess with the mesh that you're creating the live boolean on and finalize any of that stuff. You can kind of tweak it on the fly, which is super nice. So Just a little bit of tweaking and fixing around that ankle to make that a little bit of a better shape. That bend there was a little painful looking. But yeah, there's a lot of this stuff that we're gonna have to clean up as we go. The biggest offender here is going to be, you know, some of this and some stuff, some other stuff in the body, as you can see here, as some of that begins to take shape. So I'm gonna hide a lot of stuff here that's really kind of peripheral, that's really just getting in the way. Here's what I was talking about with the knee as well. Let me hide some of this stuff real quick and I'll kind of highlight a few of these things for you guys. I've separated these because I want to be able to get a really nice separation here, and I've just been kind of re-sculpting this. As you know, I'm not going to be able to get a really clean bend on something like this knee here, and be able to bend that and expect to get a really nice result simply based off of, you know, a transpose or mask bend or anything like that. You can see here that there's definitely some resculpting that I've done already, and there is a little bit of that boxy shape that I've kind of already started to block in there. There's going to be quite a bit of more work here as I, you know, compress part of the what do you call it? Your gastrocnemius, your calf, all that jazz. It's only got a billion names depending on how you pronounce it. But yes, your gastrocnemius. I'll be definitely flattening this muscle and making some changes to the shape of the knee to make sure that I, you know, accurately represent that. I am keeping these two meshes separate though, as I want to be very careful that this interaction here is handled well. I don't want to kind of I want to be careful here that I don't break this. Back face masking was on. There we go. I want to be, with this, careful that I don't merge those together and combine those forms just yet, because it's going to make editing these two separate meshes, or this separation here, extremely difficult. So, focusing kind of on a lot of things at the same time, but trying to be a little systematic here as I continue to change different things. I'm going to reapply this material. And some of this stuff really isn't super important. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. So, for example, with my torso here, as I'm making changes, you know, I just tweaked it a lot, and it's really started to kind of exaggerate out like that. That's not the end of the world, because honestly I can delete most of this because I have it covered up with a dress. And then the dress is the major form that I need to adjust from there, as this will never be seen without the dress here. So really up to, you know, this whole section here is almost completely useless. I can just kind of delete it and not even worry about it. And I probably will do that so that I'm not, you know, sculpting the same thing twice, and I kind of get my priorities a little bit more in order, as anything beyond a point that's not visible isn't important. Kind of like when you're drawing in 2D, you know, it's only about what's visible. Anything that's kind of off camera in that relation doesn't matter. The back of your character, you know, doesn't matter. Katie says, sent you a link to a knee drawing guide. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm referencing some, like I said on my other monitor, I got some real ladies, but like I said, also an NSFW, or NSFS, not NSFYT, not safe for YouTube, I guess. I don't know. But thank you, I'll definitely check them out. I enjoy looking at stuff where you can obviously see where that exaggeration takes place. So really kind of blocking out the knee. Let's see the example here that we got. a little bit of a video. I'm guessing this is Proco. It is Proco. I've probably seen this one, but I don't want to watch that on the channel, because last time I watched a YouTube video on while streaming, my video got a copyright claim for watching a video. It was the Ruby trailer that we were checking out for different poses during the last stream. I was like, why is there a copyright claim on my video? And it's like, oh yeah, I guess I was. I pretty much played that whole video because it's, you know, only a couple minutes long, and we were scrubbing through the whole thing back and forth. So I guess that's fair, you know, even though we didn't. I'm actually curious how it picked up on it, because I didn't play any of the audio. So I guess I didn't know this, but I guess YouTube's algorithm also searches for scrubs for video content as well. I wasn't aware of that. It makes sense, though. It makes sense that it would do that. But I definitely will check out that video. Thanks for sending that over, Katie. Like I said, you know, with reference, I think you can learn a lot from other artists, absolutely. But you don't want to get a lot of your information kind of secondhand in a way from another artist, and then inherit their, you know, you might inherit some of their good habits and some of their good strategies and things that they do well, but you're also going to inherit their mistakes and the bad stuff that they do. So you kind of want to, you know, if you are someone that likes to learn from maybe like a 2D artist's drawings or something like that, definitely compare it with real life. I'm talking specifically about, you know, anatomy in this case, but I think that's applicable to most things that you could make an argument for. And also compare it, you know, with other artists. If like I said, if you're looking at one artist's work and trying to maybe copy a certain thing that they've done, I think it's good to get as many different references as you can. Reference is just so very important, and I really couldn't state that enough. I don't know where the preconception that a lot of new artists get. Sometimes even it scares me when I hear like someone who's been drawing a while that's like, yeah, don't use reference. That's bad. I'm like, what? Are you an idiot? No, use as much reference as you can. There's no. It's just such a silly idea, and really I don't know, like I said, where it really comes from. Our little lady's broken neck, and luckily, whoop, we got some double eyes here. It's not a big deal. Just hide those. Our neck is broken pretty bad here, but luckily for our collar here, when I flipped those verts, the transpose still worked. So I guess it's specifically on poly count. If you have some problems with Transpose Master getting a poly count mismatch, which is somewhat common, just make sure that you don't have anything with hidden polygons in one of your meshes. So if I were to transpose this and let's say hide part of that, and maybe I didn't notice it, and I transpose this, when I T-posed back, it would make that visible again, and then it wouldn't be able to transpose correctly because of that poly count mismatch, and that's extremely frustrating when that happens. Like unbearably frustrating, especially if you spend a ton of time working on something like that. It's like, it's devastating. It can be. Oh man, we've broken a lot of stuff here, but it's gonna be better for it after we're done. Proco's stuff is great for anatomy. Always take from multiple sources, regardless when it comes to anatomy. Absolutely. Well said. honestly, a lot of what I end up doing when referencing anatomy, you know, trying to find the best images that I can, and also referencing my own body. You know, that can depend on what type of body type that you're attempting to sculpt, but it can be useful for a lot of different things. Like for me specifically, hands. When I'm sculpting hands, I'll just, you know, take a glance down at my hand pretty often. Really helps. And I don't know, it's kind of a resource that I feel like a lot of people forget that they have. What's great, you know, it might seem really shitty that when working with Transpose, you might feel like you're kind of going backwards a little bit when you get to this stage where you're, you know, starting to move stuff around, stuff breaks, and you have to reconstruct a little bit, resculpt. I've never had a situation where my sculpt ended up worse for it, though. It always ends up better. You always get a little bit more of that asymmetry in there, a little bit more character, and like I said, I've never had anything turn out worse because of that. You know, if you put in the time, I messed that up a little bit. If you put in the time, you know, it's always gonna turn out better. But you just kind of have to realize that it's the natural process of, you know, once you start posing, things are gonna get a little janky. And that's why we try to be as careful as we can when we are in that transpose stage, working with extremely low polygon counts and everything. I spent a lot of, not a lot of work, I've spent like an entire day kind of poly painting the skin here, and I don't really want to lose that, so I'm trying to be a little conscious of that, as it can kind of quickly, if you're working without your material on and then all of a sudden you Dynamesh, or I'm sorry, not your material, but your material and poly paint, all of a sudden that's gone, and then maybe you make 1,000 strokes later, you realize that you did that, and it's a little depressing as well. So we'll try to avoid that as much as possible here. Kind of exaggerating a little bit of this transition here, creasing that up just a little bit. I'm gonna soften it though. Just want to make sure that this is looking good. So when turning her head to the left, her Sternocleido on the right side should pop out more, a little bit stronger on this side. And you know, on a character like this, I don't want that to be exaggerated even that much. But I think just a little bit to indicate that there is form there is a good thing. I think that's even too much. It's really hard to do stylized when everyone thinks you're doing photorealistic. I don't know, I guess. Why does everybody think you're doing photorealistic? Most of the work that I do is very clean, stylized work. I wouldn't say I pride myself on being able to get really clean forms, but I do definitely lean more towards that area. And that's just kind of from my background of work that I have and I've done. Need to get the surface to turn a little bit earlier, I think. I have seen people, not to say that anybody here is doing it, but I have seen many people, extremely new people, many times. I can see if maybe I can find something here. Just so I can give a decent example. So like something like this. This is on r/ZBrush. You know, either or. I get it doesn't really matter. But you know, when people will receive critique on something like this. And just critique to, you know, you can definitely critique both of these, I think. You can critique anything, but maybe if you're critiquing, let's say, this sculpt here, and any critique that you give, the person will use the argument of stylization to argue that their sculpt isn't wrong, which is a very bad argument to make when sharing work online, because the point of sharing work online is to get other people to see it, to get feedback, and improve on your work. At least that's the point of sharing work early in your sculpting career, like someone like this would be. So like the lips, you know, you really need to split those better, and just the form of the so maybe if you made a critique like the form of the upper lip is really kind of wonky here. And they would say, and I'm not saying this person did this or at all, I'm saying I've seen a lot of people do this, that they'll use it as a crutch almost, saying, well, you know, it's a stylized character, and you know, it's a little kind of cringeworthy when you see that, because it doesn't matter if it's a stylized character. And a lot of the time I see people say, oh, well, you know, you didn't say that, but really I think that's the wrong answer, because I think that encourages that kind of behavior in them more, and then it kind of perpetuates the idea that they can kind of use that as an excuse to not correct a lot of the shitty forms that they're making, essentially. Again, not to say that anybody here does that by any means, that's not my intention, but just to kind of show an example of that. And like I said, it's something that I see more frequently than I would like, unfortunately. But yeah, I would like to kind of disband, get rid of, I guess, that kind of idea that, you know, my work is stylized, so it kind of gives me the freedom to nix whatever you say about my work. And I guess part of the point of a critique is to kind of defend your work a little bit, but I'm of the belief that, you know, divorce yourself from your work entirely. That's your objective, is not to defend your work. At least in my opinion, I think your work should be able to stand on its own. And if it doesn't, I mean, it needs to get better. But your work can always get better. Your work can always improve. And there's always room for improvement. Always, always, always. The minute you stop improving and start stagnating, or I guess the minute you stop improving is when you start stagnating. And if you're not getting better, in my opinion, art is not like riding a bike. The minute you start kind of not getting better, not improving, is the minute you start getting worse. But yeah, I don't like seeing stuff. I'm honestly not a fan of, and you know, maybe this is just me personally, I'm just not a fan of seeing people defend their work, really. I don't think that's the point of, you know, critique. And I guess a lot of the time you have to be careful when you ask for feedback, or maybe even if you're not, because the person that's giving you feedback, you know, if it's only one person telling you something, you know, you have to check and reference that. So if someone's saying your rib cage is screwed up, it's like, yeah, I know, but that's a bad example. If someone's saying, you know, your lips are screwed up, do your lips gooder, do them like this. Definitely like cross-reference that stuff. Don't just take everyone's word as the word of God and go on with it. Definitely critically kind of look into these things. But yes, like I said, I don't know if anybody else is kind of the same mindset, where it's almost kind of cringy to see people defend their work against those kind of, you know, people that are trying to be a little constructive and helpful. But I guess when you're new, I can't really complain too much, because when you're new, you really have no idea what you don't know. You haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg, really. You've just you torrented ZBrush and you popped it open for 5 minutes and you made a thing, and it's a big steaming pile of shit, and you want to tell the world about it for some reason. I definitely did the same thing. You know, I can't shit on people too much, I guess, because, you know, I've definitely been there myself. You know, everybody starts off at everything pretty crap at it, so don't think that I'm any different. It's not what I'm trying to say here. But, you know, all the same, maybe if there are some new people in here, new people watching, it is something that I see often, and if you do get some critique, like I said, look into it, see what you can find out, and keep going from there. It's all about improving the work. And you'll be surprised by how many people you can find online that are amazing artists that are just willing to give you a lot of their time to help you and expect nothing in return. It's definitely kind of a nice scenario for artists to be in right now, as there's just a wealth of information and free content online for people right now. So it's kind of the best time to really get into something like this thus far, in my opinion. There's never been a better time for it. But I've been talking a lot and trying to fix my neck, and it's coming along, but not as great as it could be. You can see here that we got some material bleeding going on. This is really common when you're working on lower subdivision levels and you use a brush that maybe has, for example, my move brush or the move brush has RGB turned on by default. The smooth brush also has RGB turned on by default. So some of those things can cause issues with material blending. If I can, I'll step down a lower subdiv and maybe do some quick smoothing around here and see if I can get any of that to happen. And actually, just like that, there we go. Case in point, showing exactly what I'm talking about. So I just need to switch back to my material and reapply that there. I'm probably gonna have to tweak that more, but it's definitely much better than it was previously. I just realized that this is kind of very Tatsumaki from One Punch Man, now that I see some angles and the color and everything else here together. That was completely unintentional, but hey, whatever works. I'm into it. This is this shape definitely needs to change. We'll play with that here in just a moment. My characters are always semi-stylized. I posted up my characters' work in progress on the Discord share page. I've seen a couple. I think I've seen one of your female characters that you've worked on previously in the Share Your Work page. If you posted something recently, I'll definitely check it out though. So I definitely need to delete some stuff here. Let's step down. I'm gonna try to get a clean selection. Clean selection of stuff to delete. So essentially what I'm doing here is getting rid of unnecessary pieces. I've removed these at the lowest subdivision level, and I'll show you exactly why. I can step all the way up, delete my lower subdivs, and the reason I'm deleting my lower subdivs is so that I can do a delete hidden operation, which I can't normally do unless I have no subdivision levels. I can split this off into its own tool. And on these pieces I can reconstruct my subdivs, and they'll reconstruct perfectly because I have those split at the lowest subdiv, and that carries up all the way through that. It also can give me a clean selection here, so I can just reconstruct those. Not that I really need them, as I'm going to be making quite a few changes here. But it's always nice to know that you have that option, and being able to do that is very powerful. So now from here, the main changes that we're going to want to make are to the stomach and rib cage area. So up under the breast and up through here. I'll have to be a little bit more in control with my masking here. Just kind of seeing how much I can depress this without screwing literally everything up. Trying to mess with that. The closer to the body that shape is, the better it's going to be for making stuff print ready down the road, which is definitely an option that I want to leave available for myself. Try to pinch this transition off a little bit better. Kind of just alluding a little bit to the ribs here by creating a quick crease. It doesn't need to be anything crazy, but just enough. I can soften that. Kinda losing the shape of that breast there. Looks like it got squished. So a few really basic forms that I'm trying to exaggerate here. Just kind of the split shape of the abs through the cloth. The ribs here, which I'm pinching pretty hard along this edge. And that's not a big deal. And then just trying to be mindful of the transition between the breast and the rib cage here, as this has kind of softened this transition as I've been working on it a little bit, and I want to clean that up maybe a little bit more. Up through here it's not quite as big of a deal. Down through the bottom though, I want that to be a little bit stronger of a crease. And maybe we've done it a little bit too strong, but we can always knock that back down. Ooh, my shoulder just popped really hard. I'm going to be dynameshing this and cleaning up a lot of these pinched areas, as they are very troublesome. And I have a lot of forms that are kind of working with this shape here, so, you know, as we modify one thing, coming here to look at this, you know, I'm gonna have to work with this shape next. Probably keep working with this to make sure that things are flowing the right direction. But yep, just kinda, this is it, guys. This is the glorious posing, I guess. This is the fun part. Like I said, it definitely is tedious, but you know, in a way, you kind of have to. I wouldn't say sculpt two characters completely, because all the groundwork is done for you, for your figure, once you've done it in T-pose. And if I was working straight off of, you know, a 2D concept that I had to replicate, you know, pixel for pixel into a 3D figure, well then that would have, you know, we'd get to this stage a lot faster. But because, you know, I'm working on my own character and trying a lot of different things, for me, it was a kind of a lot of design stuff that was happening in the 3D realm, and that takes time to work with, for sure. And you know, it makes it a little bit slower to get here. And like I said, I wouldn't exactly say that you're sculpting two characters, but it's almost like you have to sculpt your entire character twice. You know, once you have your character done in the T-pose, it's not like, yeah, that's the end of it. You know, that's not it. There's still a ton of more work that we have to do here. And like I said earlier, if you guys were around in the beginning of the stream, your sculpt always ends up better for it. You do take some steps backwards, but this is when the character really comes alive. But we've really started to get the angle that we were looking for. originally in that transpose master. We're starting to get there. Or I would say that we are there. It's just a matter of cleaning up a bunch of garbage. Thankfully, I still have subdivision levels for most of my stuff here, so really makes it a lot more simple for me to kind of come through and make these changes after kind of destroying a lot of form to get some stuff in the position that we desire. Definitely good. Let's turn a bunch of stuff on here. And try to conform that a little bit better. Spychar, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. We're working on some posing right now if you're just popping in here. And I guess for anybody else who's popping in, saying hello. Welcome, welcome. Currently working on adjusting some of the forms in the body, the booty right now, but we'll be back to working on that belt here in a minute, as we have destroyed quite a few forms, and we want to fix them. But you know what? As I've been doing this, I've been noticing stuff that should have been fixed. Should have been maybe not fixed, but could have been done better in the neutral pose. And this is, you know, this is definitely being very helpful. Seeing these areas where, or I guess seeing these trouble areas where things need to be modified. And you know, like I said earlier, with me creating that hard ribcage transition there, it's not even going to be seen, but it's very important for me so that I can kind of judge how the surface is turning there.
Roberto, what's going on? Says, I just finished my last sculpt for the challenge. I think you're talking about Sculpt January, since it is the last day of the month, I would assume. So tired. Soon I'll go to bed. Have you cut your hair? I cut all... well, I had somebody else cut my hairs. But yes, I got every single one of my hairs cut. I guess maybe not every single one. But all the hairs on my head I got cut. Yes, yes indeed. Thank you for noticing. Let's go back here. But yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations on completing the challenge for Sculpt January. Definitely congratulations is in order. And to everybody else that, you know, participated and worked on that. It's definitely a good way to build a good habit going into 2018. And I definitely hope that, you know, a lot of people continue to kind of carry that forward as they go into 2018 and sculpt, you know, as much as they can. And I feel like a lot of people have probably grown from this time, sculpting, you know, 30 days in a row. It might be something that's new to you. Definitely, I'm sure a lot of people that participated did grow from that challenge. And I hope you see kind of the usefulness and, you know, really getting to work. There's nothing like getting to work every single day and getting stuff done that really kind of motivates you and shows you, you know, what you're capable of. You're capable of a lot more than what a lot of people think. And I think that's kind of where that lack of motivation for a lot of people stems from. And I'm very glad that Sculpt January was a thing, and that's why I shouted it out and made a video about it, because it's something that I personally, you know, am very passionate about and believe in. The concept of, you know, stop moping about and get the fuck to work. But yes, that's awesome. Congratulations, and if anybody else is listening that participated in that, congratulations to you as well. That's it's definitely an accomplishment for sure.
You're very, very welcome. Absolutely. We're working on posing our Art War II lady, Akala, and cleaning up a lot of stuff. Oh no, I can't stop yawning. You came in here and you said the word tired, Roberto, and you ruined me. Look what you've done to me. This is your fault. No, I'm just kidding. There you go, case in point. Roberto's grown a ton during this month. My last sculpt is so much better than the one you did at the beginning. That's awesome. So bad compared to now. And that's just over a short period of time there, being able to kind of look back over your progress. It's definitely nothing more encouraging than looking at old poop sandwiches, right? And then getting to see how much you've kind of progressed and grown over you know, such a short time, like we said. Oh no, I can't stop. Oh, I'm ruined. I gotta get out of here in like 15 minutes anyway. I have a dinner thing that I gotta get to. But thank you guys for coming in and hanging out with me. We got a little bit of time left, so we won't say goodbye just yet. But thank you all the same. Always appreciate having people to hang out with and chat. So many broken things. The one, okay, so I have to complain about this because it annoys me so much. So when you hold the spacebar, you get this little pop-up window. I use this for like a bunch of stuff because there's so many quick little things in here that are very nice to quickly access. I'm a big fan. But when you do it towards the bottom of the screen, they only go so low. And I'll be down here, and then I'll quickly like screw up my focal shift and all sorts of other stuff. I'm like, no. There's really no way to fix that because it's my own fault. I'm really complaining about my own stupidity and wishing that, you know, I need to not do that quite as often. Just keeping my pen too low down here on the screen. I need to be working a little bit higher. Yes. So stupid of me. There's like other little pop-ups that you can do, like, you know, the S key to pull the draw size up. Well, now it's just actually stuck on the screen there. Good thing we have a quick save happening, because that's just kind of, oh, there we go, it went away. It was stuck there. Excuse me. Excuse me. The S key is your shortcut for your draw size. It pops that up there. And U is for your Z intensity. Excuse me while I die. But instead of doing all that, typically I just do the space bar, and then they're all right here conveniently for you. Plus a lot of different other options in there as well, which is why I prefer that. For those that are not aware or do not use that menu. Definitely a fan of using that. I'm going to have to figure out what I want to do with my little sleeve thing here. If I want to carry that material into the arm there and kind of resculpt some of that, I'll probably do that because it looks definitely very awkward right now with that material transition, and also just the physical transition of the sculpt. I'd also like to carry this line down the torso, down the side of the body there, just a little bit.
Reminds you of when you started to sculpt. In February, you have 1 year of sculpting. Then when I started, I did 4 hours every day because it was something so new to me. And I was against it so much for the longest time, and now I love making characters. So you did it in the beginning, and you didn't want to do it. Well, that doesn't sound like very much fun. Ugh. You know what sounds like a lot of fun? Some sleep. Some sleep sounds like a lot of fun. I was up way too late last night and got up way too early this morning. I'll get to bed nice and early tonight, for sure. For sure, probably, maybe, as I like to say. Let's add some material to these, fix those up. And fix some of these meshes. Try to tuck that under there a little bit better. Might need to increase thickness on some of these pieces as well, just to make sure that it's blending into the skin nicely. You were new to 3D. The idea of texturing and making characters was something that I was afraid to do because I had a feeling that it's going to be hard work, and you were lazy. Yeah, it definitely is hard work, for sure. Definitely, stuff takes a long time, especially if you're streaming and talking at the same time. It takes me forever. I am literally, I think, I run at like quarter speed when I stream and work on my characters at the same time. Simply because, you know, I don't have the luxury of really thinking to myself while I'm working. If I'm doing something that's kind of mindless stuff, it's a little bit easier just because I can kind of go through the motions, but with a lot of things, you know, I say this all the time, that
that sculpting and art and all this, it really is just a bunch of problem solving with the tools that you have, and it's really hard to kind of talk and answer questions and I wouldn't say entertain, but just kind of hang out here on stream and not look like a total asshat, and also sculpt at the same time and do it well. It's like my brain is juggling enough just doing this as is, and it's definitely not the easiest thing in the world for me, personally. Now, remember that I'm going to blend those later on after I kind of compress that transition. That transition still needs some work since I haven't really done anything to it. If you look here, you know, that's what that shape would look like there by itself, but I haven't really kind of compressed that transition to have that effect there. We definitely need that to happen before we merge anything. And we definitely need an energy drink. Alright. But I think that's going to be a good place to cut, since I've kind of yawned myself out from here. And I've done a fair bit of work into getting the pose started. This is our first day kind of going into pose territory, and I haven't had a ton of time to work on it just yet, but hopefully this song needs to stop. It needs to go away. But hopefully by tomorrow, you know, we can get a lot further. Construction people might be here again tomorrow. They need to come one more day. It's been rough, guys. It's been rough dealing with this, I'm not gonna lie. So hopefully, hopefully, fingers crossed, everybody cross your fingers, say a prayer. Whatever you need to do, that these people come tomorrow and finish this stuff, because it needs, it has been annoying. Let me save this out. Alright, but that's all I got for today. I gotta get on out of here. Robert says, I made so many poop sandwiches, and you still make them. Absolutely. I am a master poop sandwich chef, so you don't need to tell me about your poop sandwiches. I know all about poop sandwiches. I've been making poop sandwiches much longer than you. But thanks again, guys, for coming in. And if people are just kind of popping into the stream now, not a big deal. All the streams on my channel, or all the streams that I do, go up on my channel after the fact. So if you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, wherever you're watching, just head on over to my YouTube channel if you missed anything, and it's all up on there. And then down in the YouTube description is links to, there are links to a bunch of stuff like my Gumroad, where there's a beginner ZBrush course, quick start course, my brushes, my materials, some 3D models, my female base match, all sorts of stuff on there, and then links to other stuff in the description that you might be interested in, like some of the tools or something that I use or whatever. But yep, all that's there for you in the description, and I don't think there's anything else other than Art Anonymous, the podcast that my buddy Daryl and I do, who is a traditional sculptor. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. It's on my YouTube channel. Just look up Art Anonymous and you should find it. Art Anonymous Follygon. And thanks for coming and hanging out, guys. And I hope you have a great night, or maybe if it's the morning for you, great rest of your day. Whatever you got going on. Good luck with your projects, and I'll see you in the next stream. Fingers crossed again. Hopefully it's tomorrow morning. Or tomorrow afternoon, depending on when these guys come. So keep those fingers crossed, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Alright, bye now.